Hello, hello. All right, I was just checking. All right, now I'm back. Now I'm back. Hello, hello, Decentraland. It feels so good to be back. Oh my God, 1 week is too long to not have a Beyond the NFT. So, welcome, all my friends, to La Cantina here on Decentraland. Let's see. Simple usually interview. Yes. Welcome, Hutch. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're new to Decentraland, please make sure to ask as many questions as possible, make as many friends as possible, and yeah, welcome to Beyond the NFT. We host these episodes, these shows every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and yeah, I just interview creatives from all over Web3 or the real world, whoever has a voice that would like to be heard. So thank you everyone for popping in. I see that we are already at 27 people at La Cantina. The Cantina is filling up for sure. Welcome to the lovely Brittany85. Thank you so much for joining us. What up, Burn Address, my good friend. Make sure to check out the raffle manager in the marketplace. Qbelf, welcome, dear amigos. We have a DJ Vaped in the building. What up, Empress Trash? Welcome, felons. Welcome, Fermion. Hello, Fiddy, my good friend, Fiddy. I love that name. Well, and I love the origin of that name too. I remember it. Graphical, thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Hutch3. Welcome. J Name, the lovely J Name. We have the lovely J Elf as well as lovely 17. We have Meta Tiger in the building, which I'm not, if I'm not mistaken, I think he said he's gonna do some giveaways here tonight, so keep an eye out for those giveaways, everyone. Welcome, old guy. Thank you so much for joining us. We got OX Quan in the building. Peter Elf, along with the Rishi Elf. Hello. Rustan in the building, and Stony Eye. Yo, MoFi Mondays are definitely the best the best kind of Mondays. Stony Eye, thank you so much for the show earlier. You killed it. Gasa Rustan was just packed and popping, so big congratulations. Thank you, Rustan. Thank you, Stony Eye. Going down the list here, see, we got Super Wayne's in the building. We got Test 1 2, welcome. We got Winta in the house. If you're new to Decentraland, make sure to make lots of friends, Winta. And we got Zivman. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. We got TJ Rosenthal in the back. He will be our guest tonight. He is an incredible artist, so I can't wait. Music artist, so I can't wait to introduce him to all of you. Thank you all, and I'm gonna go get him from the background, and we'll get tonight's show started. Thank you. All right, I'm back. Oh, wait. I forgot to do my shout out. 1 second, I'm going back. I'm sorry about that, everyone. I'm coming back because I forgot one very important thing. We got, oh, no, wait. Yes. We got Bucktown. We gotta give a big shout out to Bucktown, of course, our official sponsor of Beyond the NFT. Bucktown is a mixed martial arts program who is focused on empowering young combat athletes all around the world. If you'd like to learn more, head on over to bucktown.org/support, and there you can read a little more about the program, as well as take a look at some pictures and pick up your very own Bucktown merchandise and NFTs. All proceedings go back to the program. Thank you, Bucktown, for being our official sponsor of Beyond the NFT, and big shout out to Jay Isip doing it big over there in Las Vegas, who recently opened his barbershop. So if you're out in Vegas, definitely check out Jay's barbershop. All right. Now I'm gonna go get our guest. Thank you, everyone. No, Rustan, no badge today. I actually forgot to do a badge. I am the worst badge badger ever. Thank you, everyone. One moment. Stand by. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the NFT. I am your host, Sinful, and tonight we're joined by rising country artist TJ Rosenthal. Fresh off the release of his Rodeo Clown EP, and with his new single, Stranger in a Bar, that dropped on April 30th, TJ brings real heart, storytelling, and the classic country energy to the modern lane. Get ready for a great conversation about songwriting, independent artist life, and what's next for his journey. Let's go beyond the NFT. Welcome, TJ. How are you doing tonight?
Simple, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it is an honor to have you on. I know that we have spoken in the past, like through the MetaBeast roaming party, and I was like telling you, like, TJ, I gotta have you on my show. I gotta have you on my show.
And you know what? It's so appreciative and really just all the things. Like I'm honored that someone would want to chat it up and take the time to kind of dig a little deeper on things. And there's certainly an interesting trajectory, I think, for people, as we approach all these kind of new ways of existing and new normals. And through music has to navigate itself through it as well. And there's so many things that intertwine here. I don't think any kind of industry or any topic of interest is free of things that are moving forward, if you would even call it moving forward. So as society grows, we joke a lot about, I want to get off the grid or kind of stay in the place it was. I don't know that that's, as easy of a task for anyone, as things move forward. So, you kind of want to swim with the river a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, yeah, I mean, lots of truth to what you just said. And, everyone in the Decentraland, it seems to be very, very excited to have the show get started. We got Make screaming, let's go. So I think we should jump right into it. So
Absolutely.
usually I like to start off the show. In case my intro did you no justice, I'd like to pass the mic over to our guest and allow you the opportunity to say hello to everyone, tell us a little bit about yourself, give us that TJ intro.
Well, I think you did an excellent job in kind of framing things for people, in terms of people wanting to sit out there and take the time. And thank you all who are out there for doing that. I think where I can be of help and service in a show like this is that, through uh, all the different types of media forms that have come about in the last couple decades, of which I've been, um, part of, in that I've been a DIY underground independent musician through that time. I know people out there are, Decentraland, they work in crypto and all these different things. And, we've had to kind of shift from, the days of putting posters on walls to let people know about shows to, here we are in Discord, or all the different formats that are running at the same time here, right? So I think I'm a person who started music coming out of a career trying to elevate in the world of professional baseball, and I got stopped a certain bunch of levels in and kind of pivoted to really what interested me was like pursuing music. And I've taken it from that pursuit through different styles of play, and from hard rock to punk rock to things that, to kind of looping back to where I was when I was playing baseball, which was I have a real love for country music and the storytelling and melodies and directness of it. I never thought it would be something kind of available to me, being, kind of in this part of the country. And it just never felt like it was something that format wise was a easy connect. But as time's gone on and, the world's kind of developed into different, aspects, there seemed to be a time for me that was right, which was a few years ago. And I just, for the first time, put my own name on something. And I like to call it, country leaning, genre bending, because I come from a bunch of different musical worlds with it. And that's where I'm standing today, probably talking to you, in that, how are we coexisting as DIY players in the modern world, where the labels don't necessarily have all the control, where we can run ads just like they do, where we could, put music out just like they do. And, how do you find the ability to have success in that, and where are the pitfalls with it? I think that's kind of where I am standing here talking to you. And 2 years in, about now, with an LP and a half out, as you mentioned, a single that came out a week ago. I feel like from a DIY standpoint and a limited but not a nothing budget, I've seemed to have kind of gained the attraction I would feel good about. So I think that's worth maybe discussing for people, and maybe just as a way to inspire them. More than anything, I'm certainly not someone who's coming on this show to kind of brag about my exploits, because I'm not that overly impressed with them. But I could tell you where they are and where they stand, and map out kind of the how-tos with it a little bit for people that might kind of be seeking that.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. And quick comment from old guy in the Decentraland. Country music is the best. So I think you may be walking out with a fan here tonight
Oh,
after
that's
tonight's
sweet.
show because we're definitely gonna get into the music tonight, TJ. Just now, I know like slightly off topic, but you know I love baseball myself. I grew up as a baseball player as well. My career lasted all the way until high school. But you
Yeah.
know, word on the street, mainly Make Street, is that you were one of the top prospects in baseball back in the day. Is this true? So I can start like be
Right.
starstruck.
So no, well, not well. Make and we can, and I'm, happy and looking forward to discuss my relationship with Make for those of the people out there who might know Make. I'm assuming people do or don't, but for me, coming up as a kid, music and sports were my two outlets, right? But for me, sports was the place I could pursue uh, at a young age. So, musicianship and band stuff, I just became an aggregate, a giant collector and fan of music myself. Not in the point where I was standing on the stage, but sports was something that I was doing all day long. And I'd get pushed, as a 13 or 14-year old, I was with heading into ninth grade, I was playing on summer teams with, high school seniors and college freshmen and, like those American Legion or, local town teams that were at the time probably a little more pre-travel sports that you have now, but
Mhm.
very competitive. And through like scholastic years, I got a lot of, daily news awards and USA Today State Athlete of the Year award. And it moved me in a kind of a trajectory where I was a Division I player. I played at UConn. I signed a free agent deal. I had a lot of good numbers as a player, but I was probably in baseball what I feel like I am in life, which is a tweener. Like what I could do, you'd have to see with the eye to maybe find more value in it than it be a rote thing you could, check off on a checklist
Mhm.
on a
Yeah.
pad. So what they would call in baseball was five tool players. You had the ability to throw from right field to third base. You could run I think a 60 and under seven flat. There were things you could do that would make you a five tool player. And for me, I never checked out as that. So I was a late game player who was very consistent. My numbers over the course of time were always high. I was 20th in the country in Division I my freshman year hitting. But if you saw one game, you might not have, taken too much of notice of it. So I ended up kind of a side route as a free agent and played 4 years and got hurt.
Yeah.
And from there, uh, kind of shifted into music. But I would say, when we're talking about baseball, baseball, I think, set the tone for behavioral, you know, foundations for me.
Mhm.
The ability to have stick to itiveness, monotony, repetition, things, not getting too high and too low. And taking that into music, I think was a big deal for me. Um, so I would say, you know, baseball is something I'm very proud of having done and gotten as far as I did. But again, for me, it was maybe just a stepping stone to having discipline and to learning how to do music, really.
Mhm. Yep. I mean, I can honestly agree with you when it comes to like the discipline side of things that you know, baseball or I mean any sport could really teach a kid and adult, of course,
Of course.
I personally think that sports are very very crucial to developing like, you know, a human in a way like it teaches
Oh,
discipline oh, go ahead.
no, I'd have to agree with you. I mean,
Mhm.
100%. I think. you probably can't sidestep that with the advent of AI and things that can kind of speed up the process now for people. I'm not sure the disciplinary length will be of the same requirements that it was when I first had to learn guitar. For me to have to learn guitar and figure out songwriting was an arduous thing starting from nowhere. It might be different for generations that are coming in now where they could kind of throw some things through technology to kind of speed up the process of thinking about how arrangements and things work.
Yep.
But I consider myself fortunate and lucky that kind of the long route and doing it in maybe an analog way kind of set me up for the ability to have that durability and resilience. Really, I don't get I may get flustered with technology faster than the process of waiting something out for hours, which is kind of funny, but
Well, technology has its ways of pissing us off sometimes, so I don't blame you, dude.
well, we come to expect it to just work immediately, right?
Yep.
So.
Exactly. So I mean, kind of like on the music side of things, like early on, you were mentioning that like for you, your outlets were sports and music. On the music side of things, did you have like an influence within the family that like kind of helped you like get started, or yeah, someone that inspired you?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Tell me again on the music side of things.
Do did you have someone like in your family who like inspired you to
I would
pick?
say on the music side of things, the family was probably not the primary source of inspiration for me. It wasn't like, Grandpa played all these records that I really took to, or Mom and Dad didn't, their record collection was in this kind of. For me, it wasn't. It didn't happen for me like that. I think I kind of gravitated towards certain things and fished my way around.
Mm-hmm.
Now they might tell me a different story, but I think for me it probably all started musically with the Beatles and the ability to kind of dig into their catalog maybe when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't really have a much better foundation in terms of songwriting because of the Beatles' ability to write so many different styles of songs, and really kind of use any arrangement that fits that particular song. I would say I was lucky that was a place where it kind of started for me. For country, going from like 6 or 7 years old, and starting there with the Beatles records, the country for me, the connection started probably in those years I was playing with older guys, in that they had they had cars and they'd be listening to kind of the outlaw country guys, right? So the connection for me was maybe more the Southern rock. If there were shades of rock that I would listen to at the time, because I think rock was a prevalent style of music that was around me. Leonard Skinner, really. I mean, I would think directly towards a Southern rock style there, where they had that storytelling style with a little more maybe rock and roll or rock grit, boogie sound. Once you got towards the Waylon Jennings and uh, you know Willie Nelson's, Merle Haggard, that type of sound, it didn't feel that far off to me from the Southern rock. It was like different coloring, similar types of great vocals and lyrics, and all of a sudden that was all I needed, to find the rabbit hole and go down it, as many of us do. Like, right, you lead a lot of us to that type of water, we can kind of move around from there. So from there, you know, Travis Tritt and things that had a grit, and then it would peel itself towards other lanes in country. But that's kind of the trajectory for me, and it was probably an atypical one to be in New York, having that kind of narrative going on. But you know, baseball kept moving me there. So then I was at UConn. Then I'm playing summer baseball in Winchester, Virginia, and it wasn't that uncommon to have country tunes playing. So, you know, that's kind of where it moved for me. But I think it all started, you know, at an early age with the Beatles records, and then it kind of grew out from there.
Would you say, in a way, kind of like that's where you found your love for country?
1,000%. Again, it's yet another thing I owe to baseball, is that I don't know how I would have stumbled upon it. I mean, weren't a ton of New York stations playing it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think there were enough people around me listening to it that had I not been in baseball, I'm not sure where that early entry onto the highway would have been. But once I got it, you know, probably like many of us, in fact, like many people, you know, that are kind of ahead of the curve in Decentraland and all that stuff, you don't need the whole world doing it. Once you know what it is, you can navigate and find many like-minded people in that world yourself. So I could, you know, be out at a party where, yeah, I knew the rock bands, and you know, there were some I loved and some I didn't, and I, you know, they're classic rock bands. I grew up on a lot of that and rock, but then there was this other lane, and I knew people who were into that stuff, whether they were talking about it or I could sense it, or on the baseball teams I was on. So I didn't need it to be the popular thing or the more well-known thing. In fact, there was probably a bunch of cachet for me in that it wasn't. It was almost like it was mine. It's like that band before that band breaks that you love, and you kind of hate when they get bigger because now everyone loves them. I loved the fact that not everyone knew Merle Haggard's records. It was kind of like something that was mine, you know? I mean, I could feel them, I could understand them, but I certainly didn't need the validation of maybe classmates or other people to make me feel like it was a worthy thing to spend time listening to.
Totally. And so, looking in world, and this is a comment from another talented musician here in Decentraland, Felons. He says, "Love Southern rock, Molly Hatchet, Outlaws, Allman Bros, Skinnerd." Yep. He loves them all.
That is that world talking right now?
That was Felons, like from in Decentraland.
Yeah, Felons. So yeah, all the bands you mentioned, for certain, fall in that category. In fact, I've seen the Outlaws, I've seen Molly Hatchet. I caught a Molly Hatchet guitar pick once. One of the guitar players, and it was the original singer, Flirting with Disaster era. I remember him flicking the guitar thing, and I don't know, like I just reached out like a right-handed backhand, a few beers deep, was like and caught it.
You're like, oh,
yeah, it was. Yeah, my buddy's like, I don't know how you caught that. I'm like, oh man, I deal with that at first base all the time. It's just a rocket coming through. It was a little pick in a spotlight, but I found it. But yeah, those bands, I mean, they're not, for those who don't really necessarily get into country, those bands would be a definite on-ramp for people, you know? And it's funny, the country right now is in a huge war with itself. You know, it's almost like a microcosm of the country. I like to say country's the new punk. You know, it's speaking volumes right now in so many different ways, and it's having trouble almost right now in defining which lane on the highway is the valid lane. In other words, like for some people who are falling off the traditional side, the Hank Williams, the Ernest Tubb, there was a 90s redo. Guys like Alan Jackson brought that sound back. Guys now like Zach Top, Jake Worthington are kind of resuscitating that sound and bringing it back to life in a good way. But there's so many other lanes. You have so many crisscrosses. I mean, think about it with kids getting, you were saying anyone in my family like music, influenced me in music. Well, kids today don't need their family's record collections, right? So
Mhm.
they put on they put on Spotify, they can get so many different styles of music. So if they are then country fans and musicians too, they may flavor it with other musical styles because they've been exposed to it. Where unlike in the past where, families were brought up to kind of like one thing a lot
Yeah.
of the time. Country's kind of in a battle now because there's country pop, there's what they call red dirt, which probably has a little more grit to it, more to the southern rock side.
Mhm.
You hear people say bro country, that's probably got the big choruses, arena rock style. um, they have the lane now called indie country that probably has a little more of a home recording style. um, those bands, those southern rock bands, within where country is set right now, you could argue some of the things they're doing would have a lane on the highway in some of their material.
Yeah.
What I tell people that we do is, because I like to call the project country inspired, I don't want to insult people who just sit in the traditional lane. And I don't know that every song I can record can have that capability, because first of all, it's 2026 and I have to live my truth. I'm not in a bar, late 40s honky tonk seeing the world that way. Oh, I love the sound, and some of the recent singles, we've tried to tip our cap to it, but we like to say country leaning, genre bending, um, different lanes, same highway.
Mhm. Totally.
We like to have the goalposts as wide as they could be, so we could, in fact, give you the pedal steel and something that sounds like a bar in the heat of the summer in the late 40s, all the way to something now with a little bit of grit. Tyler Childers just did a record with Rick Rubin where they kind of went a little on the progressive side with the sound and little distortion in the microphone, and it upset a lot of the traditional people. And he had early records that were acoustic based and Appalachia style based. And for
Yeah.
us, I would say it's one side of the field to the other. But there is that going on. And I think when Fallon brought up the idea of southern rock, for those that are peaking on that thing, you could probably dig to some other bands. You might really like them. Turnpike Troubadours, Blackberry Smoke, those bands kind of hit like that, and they're considered country.
To me, from as someone that kind of is like on the outside looking in, learning about this, to me, this sounds a lot like growing pains within the industry.
For sh-
Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it just seems like, the traditional traditional country music is looking at all the new kids on the block, and they're just like, ah, man, that's not country, until, like, the new kids kind of prove themselves in a way. New kids pertaining to like all these other different subgenres within country.
Yeah, and I think, look, if you look at all the other genres of music, it's probably been a point in time. There has probably been a point in time where that's happened, right? Hip hop,
Hmm.
you know, from the early days and even before Run DMC to the 90s when it became, what they call it, the gangster
Yeah.
era, and other, but the guys in the early 80s probably were looking at that going, well,
It's not-
well, and then you have a production level that was beyond that in the 2000s. I mean, I once went around with a guy in terms of rock and roll having that issue. It was like a snowplow job. When it would snow, he'd get a bunch of guys like on the shovel side. It was, can't remember where we were doing it, but he'd have like 30 places he would do it, and we were on call. This was about in the college days. And we'd drive around with this old rock and roll station, and we'd say to him, "Hey, man, like you love Little Richard and Chuck Berry, and like you get into like the Doors or Zeppelin. No, 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 that's not rock and roll. That's not, So he was from the beginning of time rock and roll as
Yes.
a fan, and everything else just didn't count. It was a bastardized version of it. So I think as an artist, and for people out there, I think we have to speak to our own truths. We cannot be afraid to, look in the mirror or stare out and be like, look, this has come before us. These are the tools we've been given. This is what inspires us, and just put that in a blender and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At least for me, I'm comfortable staring at that. I made a flyer I put up today, and I don't know why it came to me, but I saw an old Ford pickup truck on the side of the road yesterday next to an old van with graffiti all over it. And I asked the guy, I'm like, can you take a photo of this? I'm going to walk past it. And I looked at it, and I'm like, that's graffiti country. I mean, really, when you think about it, if there was a lane that I'm staring down, it's combining a love and care for it, but spray painting other stuff on the wall when no one's looking, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Dude,
Little rock, little blues, a little this, bob and weave with that. But, the center would be the inspiring storytelling, and you know what? They say three chords in the truth is something that is, defines how people look at country music, and maybe why it's become so big lately is, where else are you getting truth
mhm.
right now?
Yep. Yep,
Right? If you
exactly.
so maybe that's why it has kind of taken off for people. They can't seem to feel like they have a grasp of it anywhere but inside of a song they can kind of understand when they're hearing it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so that kind of three chords and the truth kind of spoke to me just now, and kind of inspired this question, because you were mentioning earlier about how, like, in your music journey, you from going from hard rock to punk rock to country. Um like, what is the truth behind, or your truth behind, the, like, transition from going from punk rock music to country music?
I mean, I think the only thing you can look at, I mean, in your own truth, is that it happened, right? I don't know that I had a map for it.
Hmm.
I don't know that I had a map for anything. I don't know that I've ever had a plan beyond wherever things are landing. So, like, when baseball stopped for me and I knew I wanted to pursue music, you're talking about someone who, I had a love for it, no ability to play it, having never written it, and having never once used a microphone to sing over it.
Hmm.
So where was I going? And so for me, the truth was, I answered an ad in a newspaper when I first got to the city, New York City, and it was a band that was pretty heavy. And I didn't hear their sound prior, but when I got there, they seemed like good guys. And the fact that they said that they would have me come back for a second day, I mean, how did I warrant getting a second look? I mean, I have never done it. I didn't even know if I could sing in key. So I just kind of kept going down that path, and I don't know, making whatever I could mine. It's not like I didn't have a knowledge of hard rock. I mean, I was fans of bands like Deep Purple, and there was certainly hard rock or even some heavy metal so, but they hit in a certain way. They were brothers, and we developed over time. And over the course of that band, I kind of learned how to play guitar to write. I still
Hmm.
wasn't playing live yet with it. So my journey with it, and the band, um, the band was called Tabloid Nation, and it has even since put out the music it never put out. It had an interesting arc in that it lasted for a number of years, had major label interest, and all of a sudden the interest was gone and nobody ever knew why. They tried to put a documentary together of it. It didn't really pan out, but the record got put out, and we've just kind of piecemealed a couple little ideas recently with it, just almost as an ode to, like, finish what you started. Those are friends in your bunker. You're not going to leave those guys sitting on the side of the road. They said, hey, let's put that thing out we never put out, and see what some new sounds could be like. So that was kind of like a jumping point, and from there it was a dart and dive for years of different bands and different styles of rock, of I think maybe a little R&B or blues that kind of connected. There was a 6-piece band I had that was in suits. We had a trumpet in there. The band was called the Bowery Riots, and it had some energy going through town as well. So, in the underground, I think where it all ends up for me, because, there were a bunch of different projects, is that everything teaches you something. You learn how to write, you learn how to deal with people, and we're always kind of growing as people. Maybe, it would have been nicer if I kind of stumbled upon what I'm doing now earlier, but I don't know that it was meant for me to land on earlier. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you could play that game in life all the time, right? So, I was very comfortable, let's just say, when I got here, that I could say to myself, I have a lot of things I'm able to do now in terms of recording at home, understanding, how to put songs together on my own. And, I can really rip out a lot of stuff at a rapid rate. And I guess the journey has led me all the way here. And, we were talking about Make. Can we discuss Make's connection to all this?
Yes, please. I'm Make's biggest fan here. Let's go.
Do people know Make out there?
Oh, all the peoples know Make out here. Is that right, everyone?
That's great. So I think for Make was in this journey with me right about post-tabloid. Uh-huh. You'd say about, I think he said 20 years, about 18 years, something in that lane. We met. I think he was doing something where he was covering potholes. He was doing something kind of amazing in town where he just had something going early that was like a galvanizing thing in town.
I feel like he's told me about it.
but it was really just an entry. As I met him, there were just so many elements to him that we connected on. Like there was photography, there was the connection with the band. He did a lot of the artwork and stuff and work with the band. In the interim of different projects, we cut a couple things. He cut an interesting video for this song that I never put out called Johnny Boy. It was like a video storyline of a true story. This guy got out of jail after 17 years. He was in a local bar. Of course, I don't know. He ends up talking to me about it. I mean, I didn't know the guy. And over beers, he's ordering drinks, telling me his life story. And, hey, I got rolled up on something. I didn't do it, but my friends did, and they snitched on me. And I wrote this thing and forgot about it because we were out so late that night. I just sketched a little song together. And he found it. He's like, what the hell is this? Because I sent him some demos. I go, oh, man, that was that thing of that. So he shot a video of it. And that was kind of something that furthered our relationship artistically. And from there, we've done stuff. Crypto world, crypto we were getting into in early 2020. He ran with us on a tour out to South by Southwest in a band I was in 2021. He put a little booklet together that we termed city to the countryside, which was the name of a song about how no matter where we are, we don't get along. The country, just can't seem to pull it together kind of thing. He made an amazing little kind of tour book with it. And we did leather jackets for a band in Decentraland. I think is he still selling those jackets?
Selling. I can tell you that just about almost everyone on Decentraland has one of those jackets. I'm trying to pull them up so everyone could get a reference to it, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I got one of those." I think even right now, as we speak, Make is probably trying to hustle some jackets.
Probably. He's just got a versatile way about him. He's very adaptive. I think the thing people should understand, if they know Make or interested in any way about him, is like, this is a guy who takes curiosity to understanding. He doesn't just remain curious. He takes it to a place where he might know nothing about it. It interests him. And now he's able to kind of teach the course on it over time.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just kind of dabble in a space. If he takes to it, it won't be long before. Now, experts a long probably reach in terming someone as that, but he is a functional, active person in that type of community once it piques his curiosity and he takes it a little step further. And I think that's a great attribute for anyone, right? And rather than just kind of going along and passing, how many times do we hear about people who are like, "Oh, I'm taking guitar lessons." Yeah, how long is that going to last? You say that Make's taking guitar lessons, he's going to be on tour with someone in a few years,
Bro, I watched him pick up DJing from like 0 to 100, like real quick.
Yeah. Well, he also has a skill and an acumen into understanding, the digital space and digital world. So I guess he does have an advantage that he might move a little quicker than most, where others stare at the digital gear and go, geez, I have no experience with any of it. He's done enough from Decentraland to, things in crypto to things in different spaces where the digital, the DJ decks might make sense to him faster than others. So, but then again, that's a product of the amount of time he's taken in all these different, areas. So, but we've done a lot of stuff and it's ongoing, and we're always kind of talking about how we could, meet in the middle again and make things happen. So he's just a guy for those of you that are out there that you got a good one on your side. He's someone that will always have time and energy for you.
Yep.
If you're bringing a true, honest desire to want to kind of take it to a place,
Yep, exactly. So let's see. In Decentraland, I see some comments coming in. Make says, "All for free. Have never sold one." And then Stella Cat says, "Make is known as one of the hardest workers in Decentraland, most supportive and friendly people in Web3." And now Make is blushing.
That's very funny. I love that.
Yep. But I mean, totally everything that you have said about Make has been like so correct to the T. Like, I met him back in I would say maybe late 2021, 2022. Like, I'm so jealous that you've known him for like that much longer, and like, the same person that I see you have just described, like, which tells me like Make is one of those individuals that's like, he's just real. That's all he is. He is just himself.
He's a hard on the sleeve guy, and I think where that starts to stand out in the culture and climate we're in now is, there's a lot of shiftiness going on in the world. I mean, let's just be honest. And there are people that are, kind of aiming for things and trying to guide their behaviors with an end game in mind, and more so than just kind of just putting their heart on their sleeves and being out there. And I think that's becoming, if it's not becoming more rare, it's certainly becoming more appreciated. So I think a guy like that starts to stand out in a different way, that type of character. And I think that's what he's, you know, kind of made of. So if people are getting that from him, they're on point, because
Yeah.
I think he, you know, exudes that.
Exactly, exactly. Here's a funny one. DJ Fitty says, Make personally saved my second and fourth marriages. Oh God,
That's very funny. Oh my god.
gotta
I
love
love
me.
that, my guy. That's good. That's real good.
So, bringing it back to the music, TJ,
Yeah.
your most recent single, "A Stranger in a Bar," that dropped March 30th, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Um, I have to say, like, before the show, I like went face first into everything you had to offer on Spotify.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you. Thank you.
of course, and I definitely, followed, and I'm definitely
So
gonna,
appreciated.
be following your music as well. Stranger in a Bar stood out to me, and I just wanted to ask you, like, is there a story behind the emotion in that song?
Right. So Stranger in a Bar, which we dropped a few weeks ago, is part of a line of recordings that I'm starting with a producer named Blake Sterling, who was down in Nashville when we started this. He's in various locations now. Blake has a lineage to the traditional side, and that's really what I wanted to attack as we were building out, as we were saying, all the lanes in this highway. This is a second or third one we did, and you know, when I talked to him about it, it was patterned, or again, if we're saluting an era or a group of artists, this is more like the mid 70s outlaw, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson kind of feel story, where we wanted that sound that a lot of those records that those guys did then had. And I brought the song strummed with an acoustic with that in mind. So there were some licks that were leading to it. The story itself is kind of I feel like it's a situation we all end up in one way or another. Now, my guitar player Jerry Mack pointed out, "Are you the guy listening, or are you the stranger?" And I was like, "Wow, I've
Mm.
always been the guy sitting at the stool listening. Now you just trip me out. Am I?" You know, it's funny because I think he brought upon something that was worth noting. You know, sometimes we go into these situations, like it could be a bar, it could be a cafe, where a stranger starts chatting you up because it's comfortable sometimes to get personal with someone that doesn't have skin in the game in your life, right? You could talk to someone, you don't know their name, and go, "Geez, you know, I'm having this problem at home," and they're not going to hold. They're not even going to remember it tomorrow. They're not even going to remember you. So it's easy to do it, but as the listener, you know, it's a different role than being the one going in there and kind of spewing all your stuff. So I think that the story is about those instances in which that happens. And I think for me, you know, and Make knows this about me, you know, I go out, when I do go out, a lot of times on off nights when no one's around. It just kind of my character, who I am. I don't like the crowded, overcrowded bars, and I like more of the dive bars or the honky tonk style things where you could have a few beers at a bar stool with some music and maybe a game's on. So those tend to lend themselves to situations where there's another guy on a stool, and you know, with less people in there, more people would be privy to starting up a conversation, right? It's not as
Correct.
loud, right? So I guess maybe that would be why that story kind of came to me, because it wasn't an uncommon kind of situation to be in, right? You're sitting at a bar and someone you have no idea what starts chatting up about life, and it can get deep, and you go home, it doesn't really matter. You
Mhm.
had an interesting moment, and that's the stranger in a bar, you know?
Yep, exactly. And do you mind if I play the song for all our friends?
Oh, please do. Please do. I'd be thrilled.
Alrighty. All right, Maki. I know you're giving me kisses. Maki is my ferret. She climbed up my leg. Well, she came up to give me
Okay.
kisses, but all
Okay.
right, Maki. I'm going to
Okay.
mute us
Go
here.
that way.
I was keeping to myself while the stranger kept on rambling about the football game, and then on the rising cost of living. He said, "Did I ever get your name? You put my memory to the test. I spent all day hiding out again, trying to put the past to rest. And the time kept moving slow. All the stories, they had nowhere left to go. The stranger said, I've been doing my best. Guess I'm still not over the edge." He said, "Did I ever get your name? You put my memory to the test. Spent all day hiding out again. Buying rounds wouldn't give it a rest. And the time kept moving slow. All the stories, they had nowhere left to go. Stranger said, I've been doing my best. Guess I'm still not over the ex. Yeah, he said, I've been doing my best, but I'm still not over the ex.
And that was Stranger in a Bar by TJ Rosenthal. I wish I had a soundboard right now so I could, just clap.
Oh yeah, well, thank you for playing it. I really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. I mean, it's definitely great music that you've been making here. So, big shout out to yourself and your producers as well.
Yeah, to Blake Sterling and Jerry Mack on guitar, and there've been a bunch of people in the bunker there with this thing. G Cals, who's in New Jersey right now, has got his own project running. Guys should check that out. It's a
Mm,
pretty cool, I'd say indie glam type of glam indie. I don't know the lane they call it, but it's got definitely got some good sounds and good songs going.
mhm,
He was doing a lot of the production leading up to us kind of moving in the direction with Blake. And, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, they take a lot of time, a lot of care, and, you know, you can't really get anywhere without, you know, the help of others, right? I mean, even though, you know, we call this a solo project, there's nothing that you're doing alone. I mean, Make's in on a lot of the things I'm doing, and whether I might be discussing a process for a song, or I got this idea for something, there's always sounding boards, there's always people. And, you know, it would be crazy to keep kind of walking in this direction without, you know, recognizing that. Another guy in Nashville, Justin Sturtz, who masters all this music and does it very quickly out of Sterling Sound in Nashville. And he takes the songs when they're mixed and brings them up to a real, you know, a great level. And again, without all these guys, you just have these ideas in the bedroom that you're strumming and laying down as a recording. To have them come to fruition and get out there, it's, you know, I can't thank all these guys enough. And, you know, I did want to note that when you're in the world we're in now with music, there is the opportunity from the DIY lane to kind of control your own release schedule. So there's a lot of that going on in terms of discussion as to, well, then how often should you put music out, and, you know, in what format should you do it? Should you release an album? Should you release one at a time? And, you know, like we were discussing before, luckily, because of all the bands I've, you know, been in, my habits of being able to write frequently are there. So to have the material to then send up the food chain to the producer and the man, that's not a problem. The question would then be, you know, funding and frequency. So we found a nice little kind of rhythm for ourselves where every 6 or 7 weeks we're dropping a single till we get to a certain point, and then an LP will come out. So in this cycle, we're about 4 or 5 ready for until the next vinyl. But the frequency is going to kind of stay at that place. And, you know, it's fair to note that, again, without all these other guys in their positions doing the work that they do, you know, at the expediency and the quality they do, that wouldn't be possible, you know? So it's DIY, but it's DIY with a, you know, a bunker full of soldiers that are willing to kind of be on the same page with that.
Mm-hmm. And you know, for you as the creative, how important is it to you to get that professional touch when building your sound, like from, you know, through getting it mastered by Sterling Sound or through Sterling Sound?
Well, I would say that the difference between having that next level ear and production quality and equipment. The first record I did was really strictly based out of my apartment. I recorded it here. I got it bumped up as much as I could with the help of G-Cals, but with no one else really kind of jumping on board except him taking what I did, not even being able to record it in his studio. You can almost hear from the original record from 2 years ago to now, I guess, not to use the word again, but the trajectory of it, there's a growth in it. So it means, I don't want to say it means everything, but when you're trying to achieve a certain sound, unless you yourself know how to get there, it means the world. I mean, I wanted that sound in the beginning, but I didn't have the players on my side, on my team that knew me, and I wouldn't even have known who to reach out to. I was initially thinking I need to put it out in any format I can. If it's a little more on the folkier side of the country lane or Americana lane, let's just get started. You know, I bought maybe a lap steel and try to figure it out myself. But I didn't really know what I was doing with it. I tried to intimate sounds best I could. But once players started jumping on board, yeah, I mean, it's going to grow your concept to, the place maybe where you want it to be. But I'm not upset in any way with the timeline of this either. I think there might be something nice about the fact that this originally stemmed from kind of just all guts, and conquering the fears of putting my own name on it, doing it in this lane, all those things. If I never just started it and did it, I don't know that I'd even have gotten to here. So, sometimes you wait and wait and wait and you never kind of get on the highway, right? All the cars are honking at you. So it does mean a lot now. And I'm so thrilled with where the production is and will be going. But at the same time, I'm not upset that, given the choice early, I just decided to, kind of dive in the pool and just take a risk with it.
Just so much. I got to throw it back to Make here, because like so much of like who Make is and what he tells me, like like you've lived it, you're currently living it. Like, just dive in the pool and see what happens later. That's one of the things that like Make constantly says to me. Like recently, and the announcements for NFT NYC came up, and I've always dreamed of being a speaker, but do I think I'm good enough? Absolutely not. But Make is like, just break things and just go fast, break things, and we'll figure it out once we're there. Let's go. We out here.
I mean, there's something to say for the fact that if you don't take it, grab it, sometimes it's not there for you. So time's not always a perfect timing either. You don't get to walk out there with the full confidence and experience of having had success in something. Sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith, take a risk. If your heart's there, just know that it's in the right place and try and move forward, and not worry about maybe the mistakes that are made or people that will judge it. I think in my case, I was like, I don't know if they'll judge me for being from New York, or, being an atypical person, doing this, or the soundscape I used, or there were so many reasons to not do it that in fact held me back from doing it for a long time. That when I thought to myself, like, it's not like the world's listening to me anyway. So why don't I just go out there and enjoy who am I really needing to explain this to? And then no one was sitting there needing to hear about my thoughts on the matter before. Why all of a sudden would it matter so much now? So why not wake up in the morning kind of excited in my own little bubble, in my own space, that I'm doing something in a way that I love to do it. So I think sometimes that alone can be the justification for going in. Know that you might not be the expert there, know that you might not be as good as you will be maybe down the road, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be standing out there giving it a run right now.
Correct. Oh man, you and Make both. I need to hire you as like my motivation. Maybe you could record a tape for me that I could like play every morning or something, because oh my god, I'm so pumped now. Now I want to do more for NFT New York. Like, I know.
If your heart's there and you got some knowledge of it and something to share, like. If I'm talking about my journey, I'm certainly not doing it as an expert. I'm only the expert of my journey. I'm certainly not the expert of platinum success or any. In fact, for me, having been in music this long, right? Arguably, I've sold some songs through sync licensing, and there were some good paychecks along the way with that thing. But in the grand scheme of things, people might say, well, why didn't you kind of pivot to something else? Well, the two reasons were I couldn't not do it. Every time you think, man, what am I doing? You hear something and you want to pursue what that story could be, right? And the other thing was, I never really sat and thought of a plan B. There was no like great plan B waiting for me. What was plan B? So if you don't have this like obvious backup thing calling you, or that you think is your calling, and you kind of like doing what you're doing, I guess there's that internal debate. Is that enough to do it? In my case, whether it's been the right move or the wrong move, it's been the move I've made. I've kind of always stayed in things I've loved and taken the good and bad with what the results have been surrounding it.
Correct. Let's see. Felons in the World says country is a cross section of life. I really appreciate the just go for it mindset.
Yeah, Felon is spot on. I mean, I think country right now, as I was mentioning before, seems to be hitting a nerve with people, and I think part of the reason is the way the musical style is probably playing against some of the things that are kind of growing in society in another direction. And I think also, like I was mentioning, there are so many subsects of it, people taking ownership, trying to rewrite its current state, its past state. It's not unlike America, where people are fighting for a seat at the table. There's something analogous to what's going on outside of the music itself with this particular genre. And I think more people are taking to just sitting back and listening to it in a different way. People that used to say, "Oh, I hate country music."
Mm-hmm.
There's different flavors of it now. You even have country rap. So you have guys who grew up on hip hop that are putting country sounds under there, and there's a whole lane in that direction as well. So it's definitely an exciting and interesting space to be in right now. There's a lot of good music every Friday coming out. They call it New Music Friday. I notice, as someone who does playlisting myself, I have a playlist on my own Spotify page. It's got thousands of saves. I change it every Friday, but I'm listening a lot. And what I notice is there's a lot of good music coming out every week, a lot of good songs. And I think people know that there are a lot of good artists swimming around, and they're maybe tightening up their chops, their song chops.
Mm-hmm.
The playlist is called Songs for the Open Road, and it's on my spot for people that want an entry ramp onto the highway. I use 4 or 5 new singles a week and interchange. I keep it at 300 songs. It's about 50, classic outlaw era songs. I don't do a ton of the older stuff because I want people to hear a lot of the newer artists, but I'd say there's probably about 50, George Jones, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, and I switch them out. I kind of keep a house for Waylon. He gets 2 spaces in there, but I'll change in those 2 spaces what the songs are. So for people that are interested, you'll hear it. You might find yourself pleasantly surprised too. Like, wow, I guess this is what they call the new country, or there's just so many different flavors of it now. Honestly, it's can go back and forth with the debate on what in fact the definition of it is anymore. And there are even people that think that things shouldn't even have walls and definitions as well. So that, you have that world going on. They have that in Decentraland, I'm sure, as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Indeed. I was just showing off your YouTube channel here. If anyone wants to have a listen, TJ Rosenthal Music. Make sure to follow.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm on I'm on YouTube, TikTok as well. The same thing, TJ Rosenthal Music. I try and put a couple, either performance clips or some of the promo clips for the singles, and just try and stay visible with people and give them some new content, daily. And between that and the playlist and the 6 to 8 week song cycle, I feel like we're putting out the art we can put out. I don't know that we could do any more, but we're not doing less. And I'm kind of proud of the pacing of it.
So Make says TJ and Felons would rip together. That is 100% true. So maybe Make is inspiring a future collaboration of some sort. So keep that in mind, TJ.
Yeah, Felons, stay in touch, maybe we can reach out to each other, make that connect and see what that all does.
I 100, 200, 1,000,000% endorse this collaboration. Like Felons is an incredible dude, and I think you two would hit it off. And Felon says storytelling through songwriting is really getting a new look. There's a ton of YouTubers interviewing songwriters.
That is for certain true. There's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of blogs going on with these little micro 15-20 minute documentaries on people, and a lot of people discussing kind of their craft and their method and their way of going about stuff. And it's definitely an exciting time, I'd say, for creating and creating really in an independent way. We don't discuss or haven't discussed the pitfalls of the independent route, and I don't know a better way really to describe the position that I've kind of been in all of my music career, other than independent to me means free to roam, but not as able to maneuver without a big budget. There's two things going on, right? I mean, I think I could put out a song tomorrow. I'm free to book a show or not play one, right? We've been pretty active, 6 to 8 shows a month, mid-Atlantic runs from DC, through Connecticut. That's kind of how we've started. We're trying to branch it bigger now. But there is a cap to what you can do if word of mouth is not, a bigger part of the equation. And that's really the financials. I mean, all the socials have been great. I'm thrilled that people have come on board and all those things. But, you do wonder sometimes, like when you're up against, labels or artists where, they can 10x or 20x you. You put out a song and they put out a song. It's, you're probably not playing on the same field. For me, the way I've kind of looked at that is, my end goals when songs come out are just within the structures of what I can achieve realistically. I mean, unless something, got viral or picked up in a way that it could create a bigger wave of things, you just can't look at it with the same metrics, So that's just me. How I've kind of gone to sleep at night with it all, because it would be nice. It would be nice to drop 6 figures on a single, that's not happening for, anytime soon, but yeah.
I mean, each creative has to find their own path and what works for them and what doesn't work for them, and kind of just push through. I think a lot of what is the word, like resolution or like perseverance goes into all of this, because like it's not a paved road for any artist or creative, like whether the road has been paved before by those who came before, the road is not paved for them for the individual artist. So yeah, it's very important for them to find their own path. Um,
That's 100% correct. And I would even go a step beyond that, saying
mhm.
I try I think I'm pretty good with this. Make might be able to verify this, and I might be wrong, but I think, sorry, I'm eating an orange here. For the most part, I try not to make that part of the process in that journey an excuse or a complaint.
Mhm.
You know, you hear people going, well, this sucks because it's rigged for the people with the, you know, once you start going down that road, I don't know that there's an end to that way of thinking. You know,
Mhm.
Charlie Crockett, who's a rising star and a major player in this lane right now, and someone that I cite as, you know, he was an inspiration in the kickstarting of it all, because he blends and throws a couple genres to the wall with country as a basis as well. But he always makes mention that, you know, America's like a casino and the system's rigged, but you can win money. You can have a good night, but you know, the money's always percentage wise going back to the house, right?
Yep.
So the situation now, you can look at a lot of this in the DIY form and probably attach that thought to it all as well. I just think there's a limit to how much you can use that as something that will kind of either throw you off or be a crutch or be a detriment. Whether it's happening or not, I try and whistle past it. Like this song came out Friday. It's got a few thousand streams. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that people are taken to it. And, you know, it hasn't picked up on stations, and some of the songs have, you know, and they get a little traction. They get a run. I am proud and thrilled that it's even gotten out to the point it has in 3 days. Now, there may be people releasing songs that would be mortified with that result, right? But I think, you know, you have to be willing to stare down things and say, you know, what are my capabilities of accepting certain things? And you know, I think we just try and make things as well as we can and continue to garner some consistency. And within that consistency, I guess the idea would be that there's kind of a growing, you know, group of people that would get wind of it, and it just kind of organically grows.
Yeah.
And I think that process is where I'm in the midst of personally, and I've been enjoying it more than, you know, I could have ever imagined. And you know, as other projects, you know, may have stumbled or I had some frustration levels, even maybe with my goals in mind for them. I'm really enjoying this one.
Yeah, just got to keep pushing through. And I mean, over that, like I tell Mick, like just gotta have fun. This is all supposed to be fun.
It is all supposed to be fun, and I think every part of this process, I would have to say, has been fun. There have been days where you don't feel like you're getting anything,
Yeah.
maybe back, or no one's noticing it. Well, whoever you think should be noticing it, it could be two people, right? But for the most part, you know, and we all have days like that, right? For the most part, I think just the whole entirety of it, from promoting clips to making the album art to writing the songs to performing them, I've enjoyed it, you know, and having been someone who's been hands-on with all of it, unlike prior bands I've been in where I wasn't doing all of that stuff, either because I didn't feel it was part of what I do well or what my job was. This one I took on and immersed myself even in places I would have in the past either been afraid of or just passed on to someone else. Like, you do the artwork for the album. No,
Mhm.
I've jumped in there. So I think there's a different joy in that as well, and just having it come out that way. So, I'm sure there are people out there that can probably know where I'm coming from with that there's a different joy when you're just enjoying doing it, and whatever comes of it, it's great.
Exactly. So, I'm sorry, I'm over here trying to log back into my Twitter for some reason.
That's all right.
But I did have like a next question kind of queued up in my mind, and it's kind of related to your one of your most recent EPs, Rodeo Clown.
Sure.
What does this project represent to you as an artist?
You mean the EP itself?
Correct.
So we went ahead, for better or worse, right or wrong, and determined that rather than release singular songs, we were going to package them in groups of 4 or 5. So the digital world knows that as an EP, because for us to get the word out, we felt it would be the smartest thing to have 4 or 5 songs go out at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of it being an EP, everything we're releasing right now would be considered that, only because we're giving you a couple new ones, a couple older ones. And the reason we're doing that is every time it goes out, a new bunch of listeners jump on. So to only give them one song every time a song comes out, we think kind of slows the pace up of what listeners would know. They said like last year we totaled 62,000 listeners, which sounds like a lot. But if you think of the world, that means every time a song comes out, the amount of people that listen to the song is like the amount of people that live like in 5 blocks in New York. Not that many.
Mm-hmm.
So, not to fool anyone, that's been the purpose of us putting out EPs, is so more when those people do come on board, they're getting more material immediately. The Rodeo Clown one is kind of a starting point with Blake. So we have 3 of the songs are hitting that production mindset that we're running with him. There's a couple in there that are from the prior production where I thought maybe we could team up some of the original recordings and kind of show people where it all came from, only because we don't have enough new recordings to give them that option yet. So that particular EP is a little cross between a few of the recording approaches. The Rodeo Clown song itself is kind of a bit of a self-deprecating, maybe a little look on society in general. I felt like I was running. There was a time for a few months at the time I wrote it where I'm running around, I'm chasing. And I would talk to Make about this. I'm running from one job to another. I'm running from one place to another that says they might have a gig for the band. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm getting the gigs. I'm not sure running around is making me any safer at the end of the month paying the rent. I always just get by. It feels like that, right? Mm-hmm. You're just getting to the end of the month. And the minute you look up, it's the first of the month again. Yeah. Every time you stay home, you should have gone out. Every time you go out, the guy who could book you isn't there. So you're constantly on a you're running around this circular pattern. On my TikTok, because, I do country stuff, rodeos will come up on the TikTok, and there were a couple that would come and I'd see these rodeo clowns running around like, look at this guy. That's kind of what I look like running around all day long, right? Frantically in no particular pattern, running for my life, slowing up, waving a hat, sprinting over here. So I thought it was so funny I kind of put it all together, and I think that particular song was about that. Like there's a line in the song, I want to get on a plane and take a long vacation, but we're probably going to end up on a dumb staycation watching people posting beachside pics. We try our best, but it never seems to fit. You know, and it's like you're sitting there scrolling, you're having a rough day, and you see like a couple sipping a coconut with 2 straws. You know, you're like, Jesus, I can barely get to the end of the month. My buddy's sitting there on an island. You know, it never seems to connect. And we're running around like jackasses all day, you know? So I thought it was so funny. I put that one together. It didn't really take very long. And it had a really good response. I mean, Maverick Country wrote it up. They're a real good publication. They gave it a top pick. Country Swag jumped on it. Country Cutler, a really good blogger, noted it. And, you know, I was obviously real appreciative of all of it. But, you know, they said the same thing, that they kind of caught where I was at with it. And, you know, I got a feeling, I guess people out there could attest to it or not, that we're all kind of doing that in some way. Like, man, the cost of living's gone crazy. Everything just seems so much harder. You know, the idea of leisure. I don't even know what I would do on vacation for 7 days. I think for one, I'd be there, and for the other 6, I'd be panicking that I need to be doing something else. You know,
make some music.
Yeah, like I'm falling behind. You know, so it feels like we're just running around frantically trying to kind of keep up as everything just every single day seems to be going up and up and up, like gas and all these things, you know. So
Correct. That makes us the rent still hits.
oh, that's funny. Yeah, there was a song we did back in one of the projects that Make was part of in displaying the visuals for the band. I was telling him the Bowery Riots. It was a band from about 7-10 years ago. It was stopped around then, but there was a song called The Rent, and the main line was just trying, you know, we're just trying to pay the rent. Kind of the same sentiment said in a different way. That I think in that song, the idea was there's so much going on in the news, and they throw so many things at you, things politically to divide the culture. Who cares? You know, we're out there as the day-to-day soldiers, just trying to, you know, get our kids to school, pay the rent, get everyone home safely. Why does the world think we care that much when we've all been put in a space where we're having trouble just trying to keep the lights on? You know, it's a battle. I'm supposed to sit there and worry about each particular issue going on in every single continent. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get up the stairs in one piece, you know?
Yep, exactly.
So that's what that song was, you know, kind of centered on. And yeah, I've always thought, man, we gotta bring that back out in some way. Maybe we do, you know?
Yeah, maybe we do. Make you yet again, you are inspiring.
Yeah.
Could we play Rodeo Clown for everyone that's watching?
Please do. I hope they get a kick out of it.
All right, everyone. This is a Rodeo Clown.
Gotta make more money, gotta pay them bills and run up the car. Gotta buy cheap thrills that we really can't afford, but you gotta keep going. You won't fall behind if nobody ever knows it. Wanna get on find another job and roping rats in the middle of the dark. Really don't love it, but you gotta keep going. I'm just talking shit, trying to keep all options open. Wanna get on a plane, take a long vacation, but we're probably gonna end up on the Tom staycation, watching everybody else post beachside pics, trying our best, but it never seems to fit. Up and down, racing around like a rodeo clown, trying to keep up, but the first of the month still comes around. Up and down, staying at home, gonna chase it around. No matter how you do it, there's no way to win in this town. Up and down, racing around like a rodeo clown, trying to keep up, but the first of the month still comes around. Up and down, staying at home, go chase it around. No matter how you do it, there's no way to win in this town. No matter how you do it, there's no way to win in this town. Every day wake up, race around like a rodeo clown.
All right, and that was Radio Clown. I hope everyone has been enjoying the show. Hope everyone has been enjoying the music, and definitely make sure to like, follow, support in any way that you can, friends. So, bringing it back to TJ.
Yes, and I want to
Yeah.
personally thank people who've been hanging out in the space as well. If you've been kind of riding along with the conversation, thank you so much, and for being part of the night, and Make as well, and you of course for handling the show and the chat, and all you guys, and wishing everyone the best too for the upcoming year with everyone's projects and things that they're excited about.
Yeah, and I mean, big thank you for being here. I know like sometimes when you're not familiar with some things, like I mean, even Discord could be one of those things like, hey, I don't know Discord, like, it's an easy enough reason not to come, but you showed up
Well,
for us
I
here
think the
tonight.
thing that's kind of funny, and I'm sure guys will get a kick out of this, is I got into the Discord space tonight thanks to Flynn, my 8-year-old. He'll join up and see Make on Discord, and Make will sometimes be like, keep an eye on him in there, but he's one of those tech kids. So I'm like, get in here, get me in. He's like, all right, what's your password? He's got, hello, this is funny.
You got the tech engineer back there. Big shout out, big shout out.
He did it while he was eating like a bag of Doritos with one hand. He's like, got me in.
Just like before I get started, do you need another bag of Doritos? Like you good?
So funny.
So I mean, you shared a little bit about kind of what Rodeo Clown is about, but I was wondering if you could walk us through your process within, when it comes to songwriting. Do you usually like? I'm gonna be basic here. Like, do you start with a title? Do you need to have a story first, or is it a melody in your head? Like, what gets
It's a
you
great
going?
question, and I think everyone does it differently. And I would probably guess to say that there's no right or wrong. There's anyone that's selling you on it being like a way to do it, and you do it this way, would be doing you a disservice. I think everyone finds their own natural way to do it. Some people start with beats, some people start with lyrics, with melodies. Typically, and I'm saying typically, more often than not, I will just pick up the guitar And if I'm not strumming a rhythm, start working through covers that I like, kind of get in a feel of something, and then kind of go from there. If I'm really feeling something, but I can't express it, I won't even need the covers. I can just sit, and almost the first thing I strum will take me there. I mean, Rodeo Clown would have been like that. I don't know that I was searching for different, say, strum patterns. I was just feeling that. And it was almost like the first thing I'm going to strum, I can write the melody over. And that's probably because I've done it a lot and I kind of know myself at this point. It doesn't mean that I'm better or worse than someone else, but I know when I'm feeling something, the first strum is probably the culmination of where I want it to be. Now the production might alter that as things go on too, right? I mean, sometimes you make the strum happen some way, but it can, get cleaned or sped up or taken to another key as you move the, process along. But really just getting the song out in that way, yeah, that's how I do it. I typically go to the guitar and the words of the story find me. I've done it enough where if I get a theme, like the Rodeo Clown theme of racing around aimlessly and where does it all really add up to, I knew that was the central theme, so I could start to fill in the verses and the patterns pretty quickly. Again, I've done it a long time, so I don't know that it's coming easier to me because I've done it a long time, but I know myself. And I think when I have a theme like that, I can put some verses together pretty quickly.
I see, I see. I mean, oh man, I almost said envy, but it's like I don't envy. I have a certain respect for all types of musicians. Like, I mean, I've had friends that I just hang out with that like are guitar players, and they could just sit there and for hours just strumming, plucking away at the guitar, and then all of a sudden you see them like you see it in their eyes. There's like a sparkle in their eyes that's like, whoa, like hold up, there's something here.
Hey, fine. It's like you extract something, you find something. When you play, if you hang around long enough, something can emerge. And then there's the time where there's nothing's gonna happen. You're strumming to find something and you're forcing it, and either just play some cover songs or work some guitar skill stuff out and get away from the writing aspect, because there is that part of the story as well. You could come to the paper, right, a blank paper with a pen, and nothing comes out that moment. So there is recognizing that side of it as well. But I think, everyone is capable of doing it. I will say that. You don't. I don't have this magical skill someone else doesn't have. I've worked at it and have been inspired and curious about it. But I would have to think that everyone, if they wanted to, could pursue the idea of putting a story together with sound. Now, they would need maybe the capability of understanding gear or how to come up with the soundscape if they weren't, playing an instrument. But I think it's within everyone to tell a story. Everyone's got a story to tell. That's what we say in Stranger in a Bar. Everyone's got a story to tell when you walk by them. It's just a matter of who you're opening that story up to, or who's opening up to you.
Correct, correct. Okay, here's an off the cuff question that just popped into my mind because we're talking about process now, like, for any independent artists who want to like I'm sorry, who want a breakthrough within their genre, do you have any advice to give them?
If they want to break through in their genre, I wish I had advice to give, but being someone, honestly is not broken through in the genre myself. I probably would be the wrong person um, to offer that advice. And if I was giving it and you were out there, I'd also suggest you don't take the advice because I've not really seen, let's say, the finish line with stuff like that. But I would say what I do know from people that have been there and have gotten through there is I honestly believe that there is no such thing as luck. I think luck is just you play roulette, there's 1 out of 36 numbers can hit, right? If you stay on the table long enough, you give yourself the chance to be lucky. So the only thing I'd say to people is I'm not sure I have the answer for a shortcut, but you just stay on the table. You know, I think if you do that and each day you're getting better, you're certainly not worse off for it. If someone has better advice than that, I definitely run to it, but nothing's free and there's no such thing as luck. So, you know, I would say that would be the only advice I would give people is, you know, keep it about the song. I mean, just keep trying to top yourself. If you're having a good song here and then the next one's over here, you're not going to be worse off for it.
Exactly. Yeah. That I think that's incredible advice. Definitely, like, you know, just raw and to the point, like the realest type of advice you can give. You know, through my research and also looking through your Spotify, my assistant has found out that you are currently on tour. Is this correct?
Yeah, so right now we are bunching shows as we had I think I mentioned before that are it's mid-Atlantic based. So right now our reach where we're having success in kind of repeated bookings has been from Connecticut all the way to DC. So we're kind of in the middle of kind of circling around it. We have a festival this weekend, May 15 through 17. The show dates are on my Instagram page. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, by the way, are all the same, TJ Rosenthal Music. There's 6 show dates. There's 2 a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Montauk Festival, there's about 80 acts. They give you a bunch of different show dates. It's an interesting kind of micro fest. And Monday, May 18th, we're in Brooklyn at Skinny Dennis, which is, you know, it's a notable venue. They got one in Nashville. A lot of great acts play there. So we're super appreciative that they gave us a slot on the originals night. And from there, I think we have a couple dates in Connecticut, and then we're looking to loop back down towards the DC area, maybe add some Virginia dates. And as I said before, just, you know, honestly and organically, just stretch it. You know, wherever we could take another state, we'll do it. You know, within the confines of our ability to get back there. So we're just see if we can keep making the loop a little wider. You know, I think that's in this current climate with the cost of gas and touring and hotels, that's where we have found our system in our, you know, within our confines. Like as I mentioned, indie DIY. This is how we can kind of best put it together, and it's kept us very active. And you know, if other regions or areas of the country, you know, spark interest, and we'll go in a second. So it's just a matter of when we can kind of kickstart that kind of interest.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna start crossing my fingers and maybe keeping an eye out for perhaps maybe even some opportunities down here in Florida. I'm a Florida cat.
Thank you so much. Yeah, all of that's appreciative, and anyone in the space right now, you know, we're always appreciative if anyone's sending a word to, you know, venues in their area. If people are kind of wherever they're at, if they make a note of it, we humbly and gratefully accepted and appreciate all the help, because it takes a village, as we all know. And I'm so happy to be part of it with all you guys, and in Decentraland, and everything everyone's doing. And Make fills me in on a lot of this stuff, so
Yeah.
it's an exciting time for everyone, really.
Yes, and like May Key is one of those individuals that always makes sure that people know that you are part of the journey as well. Like you're in this with us. So big
It's
another
so
shout out
it's
to our friend.
Yeah, no, it's super appreciative, and he includes me in it. And when I can be active and jumping in and out of spaces, to get with you guys, it all kind of, as you said, it goes back to Make, and his ability to garner, great people inside of a communal space.
Exactly. So everyone, on screen you have the tour dates. Oh, excuse me. May 15th through the 18th. Let's see. TJ will be in. Oh, maybe I'm gonna need you. I keep butchering this
I'm
word.
sorry, no, you're good. May 15th through 17th. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're in Montauk at the
Montauk.
festival.
Yeah.
For anyone that happens to be in that area, Long Island, we'll have 6 show dates, 2 a day. You could just DM me directly on any of the social pages. I'll give you the locations. And Monday, Skinny Dennis in Brooklyn. I think the set is 10:30. It's a 45-minute originals only set, which is not always that common when you're kind of, not an established act that, from a radio or single standpoint like that. A lot of the venues want you to play the few hour set where there's a ratio of covers to originals, 70-30. When you take a lot of those shows, which we do to, like many of the country Americana acts, I'm sure I think Jazz does a similar thing. So this particular one, Monday, and Montauk, in fact, it's all originals. So we're super excited to be able to, put a lot of the songs we've put out onto this, one set. So.
And then on the 20th, you're in Monroe. You're at Monroe Social in
I
Connecticut.
believe June. I believe that's in June.
Oh, June 20th. Yes.
Right. I think in June we're in Monroe, Connecticut, at a kind of an interesting little enclave there, Monroe Social. There's a bunch of venues like that, that are maybe off the a few miles outside of the cities, and we love playing those. A lot of times we go upstate as well. Barryville, we've played a place called Welcome to Bakers that we love. We do some acoustic sets there. So it's been great. It's been great to see a lot of this area of the country, hitting those back roads, hitting those side roads, seeing people, seeing life. If any of you guys are out there, give a shout again on socials. Maybe we can meet up face to face, say hello, and take things from there.
For sure, for sure. Alrighty. And I mean, I guess I'm down to my last question for you tonight, TJ, which is like, how do we support you? How can we show love to everything that you do, all the great things?
Well, for me, I think of all the digital spaces, I think the one that kind of tracks the most, that for musicians, is Spotify, right? So anyone that's following on Spotify, or following the playlist, or streaming the songs, doing it from that space, is probably the most appreciative, only because the metrics of Spotify tend to play into how some of the other things in the game move, like the bookers. Well, how many streams you're getting? Oh, they seem to judge it through that one. So Spotify, any of the digital sources is great, but if you guys are playing the music, it would be most appreciative if it comes from that source. And listen, let's connect on socials in both directions. I'm happy to follow back. Let me know, that you're coming from this space. Like I said, TJ Rosenthal Music is my handle on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, whichever format you guys use.
Yep.
And I think that's really it, following from the Spotify, the music, hitting on the socials, and we all take it from there. We grow and move together.
100%, 100%. And as you were speaking, I was just scrolling through all your socials, your YouTube, your Instagram, and Make actually even found, because I didn't know it was out there. He found your X account for me, so I shot you a follow.
It's the same name, X and Threads for people that are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different. That's the thing that's so interesting now. There's so many different forms and formats and outlets, but we can connect on any of them.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably most active on the Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, but we're dancing around the other ones as well. So, some people use the other ones more, but let's just do however we connect, we connect.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And yeah, I mean, I guess I believe that may be a wrap for tonight's show. I did want to read back one of Felon's replies.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was after, you had mentioned, like, let's connect. He said he would love to jump on a call with you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, I say like, like I think it would be an awesome collaboration or connection to make. Let's see, Felons. Once again, he says, let's connect with TJ on the upcoming Zao stock coming up early October in Northern Maine. So would you be? Or, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, would you be interested in because if I'm not mistaken, Zao is a music group, a Web3 music group that has been hosting events and stuff like that.
Zao stock. That's what it's called?
Yes, ZAO stock. STOCK. And I actually, if you speak with Felons a little more, I'm sure he will give you the full details on Zal. I if I'm not mistaken, I believe I know Zal through like just Twitter. I just have pulled up to a couple of their spaces. They have I've heard some of their rap battles and stuff like that.
All that stuff sounds, like something most certainly worth going over and going through,
Mm-hmm.
We love the idea, and certainly Maine would be a great place to be,
For sure. I'm telling right now, Felons, connect with TJ.
I love it. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, you never know. That's the thing. You just absolutely never know.
It's tremendous. I want to thank everyone out there again for hanging with us and being part of this little Monday evening chat.
Yes, likewise. And thank you for coming through. I mean, I know you're a busy man, and as you were mentioning, like if you're not being active out there, like doing something, like you could fall behind. You never know.
100%. 100%. This is a great, reminder for all of us. Just get out there and do it.
Just get out there and do it.
You learn on the job, right? So that's what it is.
Yes, sir. And also, already following him. Okay, so he just shared his Felons just shared his X with me, so I'll share it over. I'll share it to you through text message after the show. So once you're ready to connect,
much appreciated, Sin. I want to thank you again for having me, and Make again for all the connecting, all the energy on the lead up to this, and I hope people enjoyed it. Something to do on a Monday night, and we'll just keep the story moving together, and we'll reconnect at another point in time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And those are definitely great words to end on. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight for our episode of Beyond the NFT. It has truly been a special one with TJ. Make, you know, Going back to you, man. Thank you so much for connecting TJ and I. You know how much I have wanted to have TJ on the show, and you made it happen for us. So thank you again, Make, and thank you to all of you that have stuck around for this long on Decentraland. We still have 24 people here, so I'm just gonna go down the list here. Say good night to all of you. So and y- yeah, so good night, Brittany. Good night, OAO, Brendan Manis. Thank you, Burn Address. Thank you, Burn Address. We have Cami. Thank you so much for pulling up, Cami. It's been a while, so very, very nice to see you. Chrono T, Q-Bell, Empress Trash, have a great night. Thank you. Felons, I will make sure to get your X account over to TJ, and yeah, hope you do connect. Fiddy, thank you very, very much. GM, Hutch, Maffer. Oh, what up, Multi NFT? Where are you? I have not seen you pop in, but thank you so much for coming through, Multi NFT. You know I have lots of love for you, Multi. Noob, thank you very much. We got OX Quan, Pancakes, Sleepy Waifu, 85, Stony Eye, Super Wayne, and Tati. Thank you. Really, from the bottom of my heart, really appreciate you coming to the show every week to support, what we do here in Decentraland. And yeah, means a lot. So with that said, everyone, we are going to close down the episode, the show. I might play some music for us for like perhaps maybe an hour or so, or 30 minutes, just for those who are still hanging out so you can wind down. And yeah, we'll be back here next week with another episode of Beyond the NFT. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.